Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here at the EIT Digital Master School graduation ceremony at the Spark Theater in Eindhoven. Wow, wow, amazing. Look how many people we have here. No, it's really good to see that all the students who finalized their master thesis are here today and get their diploma. Great, fantastic. Here in Eindhoven, the fifth largest city of the Netherlands, you all know, of course, we have a very important company. It's called Philips. And when you talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, you see that they already started in 1912 with this company. It was about lighting. And what you saw there is that two brothers make this company big, Anton and Gerard Philips. One of them was the technical guy. He founded also the Nut Lab. And the other one was the more commercial guy. And two of those people were running the company. The good thing is, with you having your diploma, is that next to the technical, the deep tech knowledge you have gotten from the universities, you also have combined this with innovation and entrepreneurship. That's fantastic. So Philips can be run now by one person, and that can be you. Great. Today we have a full program. Unfortunately, I got to know that the deputy mayor of the city of Eindhoven cannot be here due to personal reasons. So I apologize by him. But nevertheless, we have very good speakers, and they will all be announced today by Bartje Stojkovski, and he will be your moderator. Give him a warm applause. Bartje.
Thank you, Patrick. Hello, everyone. I once read that happiness does not come from doing easy work. Instead, it comes from the satisfaction after accomplishing a difficult task that requires the best of us. If that is true, then there must be a lot of happy faces in the audience today. I'm here to moderate this session, and here is a brief overview of the agenda that we will have today. We're going to start with a brief set of inspirational keynote talks. We're going to have a few of our alumni members share with you the experiences that they've had with the school and after graduating. Of course, the Alumni Foundation is the body that takes care of all these things and maintains the connection with you after you leave this room today. Then we're going to have a short break and have the official ceremony commence. We're going to have some introductions during the session, but I would like to also warmly greet everyone that are following the live stream, because this is the first time that the graduation ceremony is being streamed to all the family and friends that could not be here with you today. We know that this is a special day for you and that you would like to share all of those experiences, so we encourage you to use the hashtags of EIT Digital Academy and the Graduation Day 18. Without further ado, I would like to announce the first speaker, Mr. Jan Menkelers, who is the president of the Eindhoven University of Technology, who will tell you about the future engineer. Please give a warm welcome to Jan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll put my paper there, but I think I will not use it. I have a few slides, and when I came in, the organizing committee was afraid that I would not stick within the 15 minutes. I see a clock running, but when the 15 minutes are there, and you still like my presentation, give some signals to them. No, I will do. I will do my best. I'm here as the president of the Eindhoven University of Technology, and I'm very proud to be there. I have a beautiful career, and since 5 years I am this president. This is my alma mater. I studied here as well, but I think the university has extremely changed in these 45 years. And as you know probably, it was already a bit indicated by Patrick. By the way, he has an audience and a presentation. He could be a stage performer on a circus or whatever. And if I would have been Steve Ballmer of Microsoft, once he jumped down on the stage, as you ever have seen that on YouTube, please Google Steve Ballmer. You will see him jumping down for 1 minute. He's sweating like hell. And then he sticks up his fingers and he says, 4 words. I love this, and now my variation, university. But we from the university are a bit more moderate. So you are here in a very, very beautiful region. You have been here studying, working, whatever occupations you have. And in the meantime, the Dutch even recognized that, because they always thought that the Dutch in Holland were only about main ports in Rotterdam and Amsterdam. But now they recognize that the high-tech industry is so concentrated and so much contributing to the Dutch economy that we are now the third economic main area of Holland. And we feel proud of that, and it's getting a recognition all over. There is an aspect why it's become so good. You can see here what we call the Brabantse keukentafel, the kitchen table in a house of Brabant. Because many of the things that we do together is started at such a kitchen table. The university, more than 60 years ago, was established by the 4 CEOs of the big multinationals in those days. And they sat together and said, we need a second technical university in Holland, next to Delft, because after the war we have to establish again the society with technological innovation, and we need a second one. And it was discussed on that aspect. And why do I point out this? Because it's a bit of the DNA in this province, because the government, the industrial partners, and the Knowledge Institute, they really, really know each other and can act very, very quickly if they want to. So that triple helix, as we always like to say in this region, is very, very well trained. Our muscle groups are a bit better trained as an all-round athlete than maybe in other regions, and I think we are proud of that, and that is part of our success. And I give you here a picture. It's probably not by all the logos to be seen which companies are all integrated in many, many of our, let's say, combinations. So you can see already by these combinations that not only university, but also the industry with university is really collaborating in a very intense way. Now, we are very proud on the Eindhoven University. And it's a university, as I said, 45 years ago, it changed. It was not so vibrant. It was not so international. It was technical, but not so many students. And all these things have changed in many years now since it has gone by. And we really feel that by this collaboration, we are not only a pivot in this region, as you can see on the right side of this graph, where we feel that we are really in the Brainport region a true source of engineers and of technical scientists. We also collaborate in Holland, and we have expressed as university specifically that in the coming years, we have now a new strategic plan 2030, that in the coming years we really want to collaborate with 3 universities mainly, Utrecht, Wageningen and ourselves. And that becomes a triangle which becomes very, very strong in Holland. Then the fourth one, or the third one, is in Europe. In Europe, we have formed a Eurotech University Alliance, which consists out of 6 universities now already, because you can see here next to us 4 others in Copenhagen, in Lausanne, and in Munich. And Technion from Israel has joined us recently. And this is becoming an alliance, a consortium of universities, which will probably become, let's say, the European university clusters as President Macron is now proclaiming in the European community. So we would like in the future to establish a degree which would be called the European Engineer. And it would be great if these universities will collaborate in the next 5 to 10 years so intensively that we really can bring that forward and would become some of the unique sets in Europe. As I said, we are a pivot in a world-class high-tech ecosystem. I think that is what we are here in this region. The city of Eindhoven is becoming more and more vibrant. It's more and more attractive. I live here already for more than 35 years, and I've seen it from in the shopping centers in the Saturday afternoon, hearing only Brabant dialect, and I hear now almost any language we can. At our university, we have 19 nationalities. ASML has also a similar amount. Each of the big companies has already so many international workers that this city, a techno city, I have to admit, but is becoming very attractive by all this international influx. Now we all are on an expedition. We called our expedition 2030, the strategic plan 2030, and we know that there are a number of challenges ahead of us. We know that universities will change. A mission of a university has been already for 1,000 years, because the first university was in Bologna at 1088. So almost 1,000 years, we as universities educate young people, young engineers, young academics, young scientists. And we also create knowledge, we advance knowledge, and we want to make that knowledge better and better and better. So we push boundaries in science. That's the second one, research. And then the third one is be of benefit for mankind. And if you can see in these 1,000 years, there are now 3 generations. The first generation up to, let's say, 1850, they were really for education. Then it was added research. So we got the Humboldt University and we got education and fundamental research. And since, let's say, 1950, we are now in the 3rd generation of university, and that is add value to society. And I think these 3 main aspects are the mission of every university. But we have challenges. We as human beings, we as mankind have challenges. We have a challenge of sustainability. We have a challenge of keeping Earth, also for future generations, livable, that we can really live in comfort, in well-being and in welfare, and that we don't misuse our rare Earth so badly as we sometimes do now. We also will see that there will be a convergence of technologies. We have had, of course, a first convergence between electronics and engineering, mechanical engineering, that became mechatronics. But we will see convergence like bio and technology. We will be creating artificial life. You will see artificial intelligence in combination with human beings. We will see the technology and human beings being also intertwined. So we will see convergence of technology as well. And thirdly, we must be aware, especially those who are doing engineering, that we have an enormous impact on society. We have such a big impact, as we maybe sometimes do not realize, that many of the progress in the future for mankind will be dominated by technology. The counter side is that technology has also its bad sides. So we should be aware of that, and I will be coming back later to that. Here is a picture of our recent Nobel Prize winner, Ben Feringa. And he gave a lecture in Eindhoven, and he had a nice, beautiful saying that we scientists are not very good in predicting the future. So therefore, we shape the future ourselves, which is fairly well true. We are really creating many new things, which is also a change in the future, and sometimes even disruptive. Disruptive in 3 examples I give you. Maybe you have seen and got notice of the solar car. This is a solar car which is truly now a commercial car. The young people, the young students, graduated from the Eindhoven University, they got together after they won the World Solar Challenge in Australia the first time. They graduated. I always ask them when they are at bachelor's phase, do you have your master's? Well, they got it, and they got it in excellence. And then the 13 of them sat together, created a company, wanted to make a commercial car, have now 70 people working on this one, and next year the new first car will be there, will be launched. Well, that's great, because it's a solar car. It's a car that charges itself, and all the spare energy can be used for other means. So transportation is more a storage of energy instead of a transportation means. Having a precise eye surgery, microsurgery with equipment that is done by good motion and control techniques and engineers, becomes a kind of a technique which gives a surgeon, an eye surgeon, for example, the possibility to make even more accurate movements in the eye that he could do. Or even, and I can imagine, if you would see your specialist, your eye surgeon come in and he would have this kind of shaking hand, you would not be glad if he would start to operate. You can still be relaxed now, because the mechanism, if he does this, the movement of his hand will be transferred to miniaturized movements, but also the vibration on top of it will be filtered out. So people, even at a high experienced specialist or a higher age, can do his job by this kind of technology. And the last one is making biodegradable heart valves. If you have a heart valve mechanically, you have to replace it every 10 to 15 years, 15 to 20 years, depends on how well it is in your body. Can you imagine if you could make a heart valve out of your own human cells? So you can create polymers that are degradable, and you can replace them by own cells out of your own body. And then you have a real heart valve out of your own cells. These are three kind of changes in technology I foresee, which will be high of impact, which will be the drivers of change for us, and where you are part of it, because you are now celebrating a beautiful day. You are celebrating something of which you should be very proud of. But the challenges will be that, for example, knowledge is not anymore traditionally by books and by libraries. It's ubiquitous. You can have it everywhere. It's everywhere available. Then you have to be balancing in, is it true or not true, and how can we know that it's scientifically proper? But on the other hand, it's so available that many ways and many people can have access to it and can be creative with that. So it will make a big change. Complexity of systems will be a big change. Not only the complex systems like this here, I'm pointing here, but I should be pointing there, like this ASML machine. I think it's the most complex machine that is built on Earth. But that's technical complexity. That is complexity where we have to integrate systems in a way that we never have done before. But imagine that complexity in the societal aspect will be increasing this kind of complexity, because all our machines will have a human interaction. So we have to take care that the complexity of not only solving technical problems, but also have to have an interaction with human beings in many ways and many forms. And that increases the complexity. And the third one is, it will accelerate. It will accelerate immensely. R&D will accelerate because we cannot only work in the time frame of a PhD of 4 years. We have to deliver quicker and earlier our scientific results to society and to the industry. And we will probably do that in collaboration with connected innovation hubs over the world. And I was giving you the example of Eurotech universities in the front. In our strategy, you will see that our future philosophy on our research portfolio will be on these 6 domains. Integration of traditional domains into new ones, like bioengineering health, or like renewable energy and storage in this case, or the data-driven intelligence systems. And I think from your graduation, you certainly will be very much appealed by that one, although you also have had in your second year a lot of, let's say, input on entrepreneurial and on societal aspects as well in your master degree. Education will change. This is a beautiful picture because there are still teachers who like to work on Blackboard. Right, start somewhere, a formula here, and end with the outcome on the other side. But this will change. Digitization of education will be so massive, will be so enormous in the entire society that all educational systems, also the university systems, will be changing by unbundling of the curriculum, by having online courses, by having degrees out of different universities and having a different combination. And you are a bit of a kind of a head start on that aspect in this case. But this will be a massive change in the future. And it all boils down to become personal, because it becomes so technological that our university, certainly in the future, will not only have this beautiful technology and all these kind of transferring knowledge with modern ways. We will always be a campus university. You have to become an engineer on the campus. You have to become an engineer in the laboratory. You have to become an engineer by experiments. So it's a lot of personal contact and personal development. And thereby, in that personal development, it's very important that you will get into a T-shape or even a pie-shape engineer. In-depth knowledge of a certain discipline you have learned, but a broader knowledge of certain aspects in life. I passed my 15 minutes. I don't see the audience at all because you're one big black some few ones. So if you don't start shouting, I will finish in short time my presentation. But to give it, I really feel that you should be in all means a T-shape or a pie-shape engineer. You should broaden your perspective beyond your own preliminary discipline, and even if you can, have twice, have two. Because we expect from you, as young generations, you graduate today. This is one of the most important periods in your life. Family and relatives are here, and in this time span of your life, between 20 and 30, you will graduate. You may choose probably your first job. Technical engineers are very likely to have quickly one. You may choose your partner and even have children. So this is, in a time span of 10 years out of a human's life, an enormous amount of very big and important steps. And in that steps, you have to develop thought leadership. You have to be understanding what the impact of technology is. This is the most ridiculous picture of technology. You even are not aware of it, but if you look closer to it, it's absolutely, for me it's still a kind of a thing, whoa, if this is technology which brings us to mankind, I doubt that we sometimes have to change a bit on that. But this is the way how we make, or you make pictures most of the time, and not looking to the most important, well, for them, the most important person in the audience, I have to say. So that is something. We have to be scientists, and scientists have to stand into the debate on their science, make it explainable to everybody in the audience. Don't be in an ivory tower. Connect with the society and explain everything of your science, and do that in an openness and in a debate, also on ethics. Ethics and technology will be so important in the future that we also have to stand up here as stage performance, whatever limited performance you can have, as I have, but we have to stand there and have to be engaged in the public debate. And that's also an invitation to you. When you graduate today, broaden your scope as much as you can, because you will be favoring in the future, not only by the in-depth knowledge you've got by your master's degree, but by enlarging your scope and being enrichment for the surroundings. So to close off, I have an enormous confidence in young generations. I've seen young generations like these students team in our university. They sit together, they are bachelors, second years. And they sit together half a year, 1.5 years, and they create a car and they win a solo race in Australia. They learn so much about multidisciplinarity, about human interaction, about self-supporting, about sponsoring, whatever you call it. And they do it. So I have so much confidence in you that you enjoy today, and especially your parents or your whoever relatives you have here or friends, enjoy the day because it's the kickstart of your life. You will have now a great future ahead of you, and try to be as students as we know them, because we elderly people are too traditional. You should make the change. You have hands in the future, and I wish you an enormously beautiful event today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for the insightful speech that I'm sure that many of the students will, the topics that you've raised, they will have to address in their careers after this day. The next speaker is someone that does not need a lot of introduction. It is it is the CEO of EIT Digital, Mr. Willem Jonker.
There was a slip of the tongue. Yeah, he doesn't need too much attention. Well, okay. So for you, not anymore, but for the ones that are still in there, beware. Hey, who heard of Eindhoven before you started to work with EIT Digital to enroll here? I can hardly see you, but can you raise your hand if you didn't know about Eindhoven before? A lot of people didn't know about Eindhoven. Oh, I'm surprised, and I'm pleasantly surprised, because as Jan just explained, Eindhoven is a pretty unique place in the world. I mean, it's a high density of high-tech companies on this high-tech campus, which is a square kilometer. When you look at technology-wise and patent-wise, things are doing great here. We have a wonderful university, the University of Eindhoven, and Jan was very well explaining what they do. Jan, tell your guy that they were taking a selfie with her. That's why she had to be in the back. Okay. So, and that's actually what we have here. So a lot of power, and what was also very well explained, what is now essential in such a power thing? It's essential to connect in the region, to connect the science with the business, with the education, as we do in EIT, but also to connect at the European and even global level if you really want to have the impact. So you see the ingredients at a smaller scale here in Eindhoven, what we are doing at the European level as EIT and as EIT Digital when it focuses on the digital domain. And now I want to focus a little bit on that digital, because the success story that we heard here when it comes to high-tech systems, is that the same success story we have in Europe when it comes to digital systems, when it comes to software systems, when it comes to platforms? Let's do a check. Who has an iPhone in the audience? Quite a few. Who has an Android phone? Also quite a few. Who has a European phone? Why are you laughing? You think that's funny? Who thinks this is a problem? Why is it a problem? Tell me. Yes, ladies first. Why it's a problem?
Well, again, like we are in the market when we literally have like 2 operating systems and no choice, pretty much. And it's like, well, it's what you have, deal with it, you don't have any other choice. And pretty much it blocks the entry to the market for any other brand or operating system, like mobile operating system that might be better, might be more...
I'm gonna cut you now, because otherwise my speaking time is over. So, absolutely. One element, we have more or less a kind of half-half monopoly, where there are only 2 big players that are dominating the market. What's the economic problem of this? Is there an economic problem of this? No, just the fact that there are, you look, we're here in Europe, right? And the big players are from the US and from Asia. What is our economic problem? Is this a problem, yes or no? So what's the problem? Can you say it to me? Yeah, the gentleman here. Yeah. You.
Companies from outside Europe can influence Europe's activities, for example.
Influence, but also money. Who knows how much cash Apple has in the bank? Cash. Yeah, that's the share price, 1 trillion. This is the largest publicly traded company. Cash. 2 billion, yeah, 250 billion euros. 250 billion euros. Okay, there are days I don't have it. So, and why is this a problem? Where did they earn that money? Who had an iPhone again? Okay, you see? And where will this money be reinvested? Will this be reinvested to build a nice headquarter here, or to build an enormous headquarter back in the US, which generates a lot of local employment and a lot of local jobs? Where do you think where the headquarter is built? Not here, right? In China. We're talking about Apple. We will come to Chinese companies afterwards. So, but at least, to my knowledge, also China is not in Europe. Yeah? So we have a serious problem here in Europe. And that's why I'm so extremely happy that you are here. Because you are talent from all over the world coming to Europe and help us to make sure that this complete unbalance that we see in the digital platform world will be corrected. So, of course, my question is, you've all been graduated. How many of you have decided to stay in Europe? I want to see 100% of hands. That's obvious, right? Excellent. And that's actually why we are here. I mean, that's why we are here as EIT and as EIT Digital especially, to make sure that we have in Europe the innovative environment, and this innovative environment only lives if you have the innovative talent. It's all about people. Creative people, people that are committed, people that have the T or the pie shape, and that really help us to not only do excellent research, because we're very good at excellent research in Europe. I mean, you've seen examples, it's really outstanding, world class, no doubt. We are not always that great in transferring these results into European industrial success stories. In some areas we are, and there are great success stories here around. ASML was already mentioned, which is a key example. But if you look in the digital domain, there's only a few, and that's far not enough, and that leads to an unbalanced situation, and that leads to a situation with monopolies. Who can tell me the strongest competitor of Facebook? Is there any? Is that a good situation? This is not a good situation. Another thing you have to understand is technology is not free of values. So for those who have been in Silicon Valley and who know the values of the tech industry in Silicon Valley, you probably notice that those values are not always the same values that you see here in Europe. For example, when it comes to what you can do with people's personal data. Who has heard about GDPR? And I think that shows very well the difference between a tech industry that says, data mining, we can extract a lot of value out of data. Great, we love it. But do you then also give that value back to society from where you extracted that data? Or do you put it in a big pile of 250 billion cash in your own pockets? And that's a problem. That's another problem. So that's what we need to change. Technology shapes, I would say co-shapes the future. Technology co-shapes the future. But we have a responsibility that everybody shares in that co-shaping, and that it is not becoming a digital divide between the haves and the have-nots. And that's your responsibility, because as Jan said, we are too old for that. So I count on you. I count on you to take the human values and make sure they are embedded in the technology, because technology is not free of values. And that's why it's very important that there are choices, and there are choices that represent different value sets, so that all people can make their choice for their values and are not obliged to say yes on a button when they have read these conditions for use. And if you say no, then the answer is you won't get access to the service. That is not choice, that is just enforced on you. And that's not what a good society should do. So I hope that when you were here for 2 years and that you worked in this European environment and saw different places in Europe, that you also got some appreciation and some infection maybe also with these values of sharing and making sure that we create a future world that is there for everyone and not just for the happy few. I count on you, and this is a hope I have, and I'm sure that I will not be disappointed. And really, I congratulate you with your achievement, because it's a very, very important achievement. It has already been mentioned. This was a very important period in your life, but a long journey is still to come. I hope that we reconnect on that journey in future. And I also always say, you have been working hard, so tonight I expect you to party hard. See you there.
Thank you, Willem. As many of you know, EIT Digital is both an education and innovation ecosystem. And it is my pleasure to announce the next speaker, who is behind a company that is a partner of EIT Digital here in the Netherlands. The founding partner of Finopay, Mr. Liklama Douwe.
Thank you, Borse. Thank you for inviting me. I think I'm invited because I'm this tech guy who is or became an entrepreneurship. And I came here today to to share with you my personal journey, because 28 years ago, I was sitting right there. And here's my clicker, yeah. It started for me, my study time was not in Eindhoven, but in Delft, and I studied electrical engineering. And in 1988, I started my first company, Kojak. And Kojak was a company founded out of an initiative for our study association, where we organized a study trip to Korea and Japan. Hence, it's called Kojak, Korea-Japan Committee. And after working 1.5 years on this project, where we went with scientific staff and a lot of students to Japan, where we had to organize a program and sponsoring, and of course had a lot of fun. We, the 5 guys, were a team, and then we thought, okay, what are we gonna do next? So we thought, okay, let's found a company called Kojak, and let's do something with computers. And this was 1988. Because computers, personal computers, was only a few years old. They were very big and clunky. Some people remember those computers from those days. And there was no internet, of course. And the only way to get business, we thought, was go for what we would call FP. And FP stands for free publicity. And so we created a lot of occasions that we came into the newspaper. And here you see some of these items. But what happened then, what I never ever thought, is that 3 weeks ago, we celebrated the 30th birthday of Kojak, because it still exists. So what we did, the company was, in the statutes we said, you can only be a student to be in the board. And after you graduated, you have to find a new board. And then a new board, a new board. And that goes on and on and on. And so this whole idea of students working together, cooperating, and creating continuity for a company somehow worked out. I never thought it would, but yeah, you have to be surprised, and it has become a lasting concept. So early stage entrepreneurial experience, but in those days I had a different view of the future, because I didn't think to become an entrepreneur. I thought, yeah, let's go work in a multinational and work abroad and have big jobs, big responsibilities, all glamorous and glitterish. So I went to Eindhoven, to Philips. So I got a job in the product management department for fluorescent lights, product manager. And then I went, on the first day was August 6, 1990. But then on August 5, something happened. This was on a Sunday, and this is out of the newspaper in Dutch. On Sunday, the day before I started my career at Philips, was an announcement which was unheard of in the history of corporates in the Netherlands. Massive cost cutting, massive layoffs, 10,000 people at least were losing their jobs. So on my first day, on the evening of my first working day, I saw people crying on television about losing their jobs at Philips. And it was my first day, and I was just like you, having a whole life in front of me. So it was a very, very intense experience, of course, and also made me realize quickly that a company is just a collection of accidental collection of people doing activities. Because after that, Philips transformed completely, and like Jan already said, this whole Eindhoven changed. But the activities are still there. It's just organized differently. But it was a very interesting time. I had a great, great time. I can really recommend such an experience, because I had a lot of interesting jobs all over the world. Although lighting was a bit boring, 1 year later, I went into the electronics department, and I became the product manager of the first recordable CD. CD recording was a big thing in those days because CDs you had to press and you could not record. And out of that, the whole digitization of the home. But after about 7 years, I went into consulting. And out of consulting, I went into startups. And I accidentally came into the world of payments. And my first startup was very successful in selling to investors, not selling to customers. Yeah? But it's also selling, right? And that was at the end of the 90s. The internet bubble and so on. That didn't go anywhere. It was mobile payment, and mobile payment is, of course, a very difficult topic, even in 2018. So after that, I decided, well, let's first focus on innovation and innovation service business, because that is that is stuff I had been doing for quite some years, always at the forefront of what is possible. And at Philips, I did this also in my consulting work, which was about e-commerce and internet, and later on into the mobile payments field. So I started a consulting firm called InnoPay. We started with the two of us, and we thought first, let's do service innovation, but somehow this whole payment stuff kept on following me. So after 1 year, we changed our name into InnoPay, and learned how to focus. And that this company is now 50 people. But in those days, this was in 2003, I discovered the whole world of the transactions and the digital transactions, which in those days was only payment. But over time, we discovered also digital identity, data sharing, invoicing, all sorts of trusted information exchange. So our whole thoughts about payment went way further, and we still are, a group of professionals working for, of course, financial institutions, also transactional companies who process secure information, and also for government, and a particular view of the world developed in me, and that was about platforms, about the fact that platforms have a fragmented nature, that if you have many platforms in a society, then it's not working for the customer. Imagine you have multiple payment systems. You have to onboard on every payment system, also as a merchant and also as a user. And there is a way to solve that, and that is about collaboration. And many people refer to this as standardization. So I learned and discovered that in the financial industry, at least in the payments world, everything is built upon collaboration. These are platforms. A bank is a platform. Avant la lettre, before we use this word platform, but a payment service is a platform because you go into a shop with your card, but you are not with the same bank as the merchant. But you never have to talk about this. You never have to first ask your merchant, which bank are you? Same with email, same with GSM. And this is all digital information exchange. And we take this very much for granted. But once I understood this for, let's say, for payment, where we, for example, created the ideal payment system for the banks, I started seeing this everywhere. Other digital problems where this fragmentation was hampering the market. And digital identity is definitely one of them. And we also help the government in solving this problem, because these are common problems for the common good. Digital identity infrastructure is important for societies. So we start projecting this whole two-sided market thing and collaboration and innovation onto other sectors. And we did this for public transport, OV chipkaart in the Netherlands. We do this for data sharing. We do work for the logistics sector, where you have to create a kind of many-to-many possibility of instant data sharing. And this whole way of working is a specific way of working, because you need to collaborate and compete. You have to collaborate with your competitor. And that's very difficult for many persons and their companies. And this whole skill is also brought us into Germany, and we also do this in Switzerland. And now we are about to start a similar project in Australia. So it's a very specific skill to be collaborating in digital. Of course, the 15 minutes is never enough to talk about this. But in a couple of weeks, we will release a book. We have worked 4 years on a book called Everything Transactions. The Dutch version will come first. That's called Alles Transactie. And the English version will be out in March. And there you can read all of our intellectual journey we made with InnoPay. But in parallel, what also happened to me, which I never ever could have imagined, is that I started at least 5 other companies in the meantime. Because if you work, if you are in the groove with yourself and you have those ideas coming, and your clients cannot absorb all the ideas, then there is two things you can do. You can just put it aside, or give it, make it happen yourself. So that has led to the invention of other companies. So I'm became a kind of parallel entrepreneur. And you may ask, okay, how do you do that? How can you run 6 companies? Well, by not running them. So the secret is here is to find other people to run your company. If you ever will start a company, don't think you can outlive the whole life cycle of your company. Yeah? Will you promise that? So critically look at yourself. What are you good at? And what do you like to do? And give room and make place for other people. Because only then you unleash extremely creative energy of what's in your ideas. And if your ideas go to other people, then you can really move the world with other people. And this is how, at least it's my philosophy to create companies. And of course, the skill of finding other people and doing it together with other people is then the most critical element. But this is something I could never have envisaged when I was sitting here 28 years ago with my corporate dreams in my head, and now having my own environment, and also working abroad, but then on my own stuff. So yeah, I have some life lessons. It's one of them already shared with you. Be very critical on what you are and what you can do, and share things. Only if you share, you can multiply. That is where, at least for me, business is about. Other things are okay. You have to hang in there. If you have an idea, it will always go different. So you have to just be persistent. And always feedback the information, and always take into account what you hear and what you see. Be curious. Listen. Be hungry. Take real ownership of something. Do not blame other people outside of you if things go different. Always start with yourself, because that's where the energy is. I can go on and on, but I will share two concepts with you, which I often use. Is this picture? Because I learned over the time, because I was technical, I learned more about people, of course, in the course of the years than about technology. And this is an important concept, that people, when you talk with people, you sit in a meeting, some problems or some ideas are different things to different people. And you have to really realize that whenever you talk to people. And another important concept, which came to me only after 10, 12 years after working was that I thought everybody was thinking like me. That everybody liked cool stuff, that everybody liked change, everybody likes a better world, everybody is for the common good. And it took me quite a while to find that out. And then I realized that this model, you learned this, the adoption curve is actually very, very true. And what is that I'm usually looking to talk to the people of the first 2.5%, and maybe the next 13.5%. So if you are into change and innovation, this is your challenge. You have to find the right 2.5% or 5% people. This says that about 90% of the people are not waiting for some change in their lives. And you are here together, all people who are oriented towards change. And we are a bubble. This room is a bubble. Yeah? And outside, there are many people who are not open for your ideas. At least not at the start. So you have to do a lot of effort to get people in that mode. And a lot of my time and of my challenge is getting ideas moving through this funnel. Then I will close off with a message which is very close to Willem's message. And we didn't coordinate this, but it's really top of my mind at the moment, is this whole idea of these infrastructure stacking up. Right? Human progress is all about infrastructure. Right? It started with the sea, and we had the roads, we had the rail, we have the sewage, the water, the electricity. And in the last, let's say, 50 years, even it is all accelerated because with the invention of the transistor in 1948, huge pivotal moment for mankind that enabled communications and wireless communications and internet. And things went very fast. And now we are using all sorts of infrastructure. And infrastructure is something for everybody and does not discriminate between a segment or a person or a size. And here you see all examples. And usually with infrastructure, there is a public governance and there is choice. But now we see a world where more and more infrastructures are privately managed. And there is no choice, and they are data-driven. And it's not a coincidence that you hear twice this message. And but I feel there is a solution here coming possible from Europe. And it's a similar solution to what happened in the 80s with the GSM. Because you can imagine that the mobile communications could also have ended all within one platform. We could have been all member of one system for the whole planet. That would be maybe easier or cheaper or faster, but that didn't happen. And in Europe, we came up with a distributed solution for unstructured voice data, voice information, and that became the dominant standard all over the world. So why can't we create in Europe the GSM standard for data and data sharing and privacy? Why are we just accepting that there is this model of giving away your data and having an uneven data benefit balance? This word data benefit balance is explained in our book. And this is my last picture. I strongly believe that the way forward is to create control on data, to separate the data from the applications. Because up to now, every data you generate is part of the application of the owner who is offering you the service. But if we could create a control layer in between, the law is already there, GDPR gives you the right, but the engineers have not engineered this infrastructure to control this. The only way you can control this is by all these emails you have in your email box. And then you don't know, you can never track whoever you gave access to which data. So we have to engineer this. This can be engineered, just like we could engineer to go to the moon. But there are not many people can imagine how this would work. But I strongly believe it can work and it can be engineered. We only have to do it. And this word, we call it data sovereignty. It is the capability and the right of every people and every company to have control of their own data goods. And it's the next piece of infrastructure. I would like to encourage you to think about this and take initiatives and engineer this, and especially also go through this funnel of creating adoption for such a thing. I wish you all the best with all your choices. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, David. Thank you once again to all the three speakers. With this, we conclude the first section of the keynote talks. Now we're going to talk a bit about the past, present, and future from a different perspective. We're going to invite three people on stage that have gone through the same journey that you have gone through, and they will tell you a bit about their experience being part of the master school and the life that they have been experiencing afterwards. First, on stage, I would have the pleasure to announce an alumna, Blanca Martinez de Aragon. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody, and congratulations for graduating today. I am Blanca Martinez, and I'm here to share my experience and tell you how my life has been after the EIT Master School. So a bit about myself. I am Spanish, but I grew up in Luxembourg. Then I did telecommunications engineering in Madrid. And then I decided to join the EIT Digital Master, the first year in KTH and the second year in Telecom Bretagne. And I did the Internet Technology and Architectural track. I did my master thesis in Ericsson, and then I decided to join PwC Luxembourg as an IT consultant for the public sector. So I guess that many of you are still wondering what to do next, because I was like that 1 year ago when I graduated. I knew that I wanted to do something related with technology, but also something with innovation and business. So you might think, why consulting? Well, in consulting, I've been working in different projects, very broad topics, and I've been learning about all these different topics. And why is it innovative? Well, you have to hear about the clients' problems, understand their needs, and then come up with ideas and different solutions. So, for example, some of the projects that I've been working is helping the government with the control of food in restaurants and in supermarkets. Also a project on cybersecurity about quantum key distribution. And also, for example, right now I'm working in a project about the migration system in Ukraine and how technology, for example, using biometrics, can help. And 3 days ago, I came back from Tanzania, from a project that it was using data analytics to make sure that the client was compliant with the regulations. So as you can see, technology is everywhere, and it's shaping the future. But technology, it's not only the most important thing. It's also about innovation and about business. And this is something that I believe that we learned with the EIT Masters. So it's very important to understand how the technology works, but it is also important to understand what it can offer and be able to explain it and be able to explain what are the benefits that the technology that we know how it works can bring. And also through the entrepreneurship and innovation classes, it has helped me to be more active and take initiative and be more think outside the box. And for example, in PwC, I help organize once a month a technology forum where different people give presentations about different technology topics. Also, one of the things that I like the most about and that has helped me grow more personally is the fact that in EIT Digital Master Schools, there's people from all around the world. And this is super important also after for work, because you learn, you become more open-minded, you listen to more people, and you understand that everyone thinks differently. And this has helped me in my life. And also the alumni community. I really encourage you now when you find out work and everything and you move somewhere else to see which other EIT people are in that city. For example, in Luxembourg, we are 5 of us, and we meet every month, and people are, now we're all friends. So I really encourage you to join. So thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Blanca. Now it is my pleasure to invite someone who has taken a different path and has decided to experience an entrepreneurial journey as a co-founder of a very interesting company that is making waves all around the world. Hilke Visser, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Hello, guys. I'm Hilke Visser, and I'm here to share about my experiences since I had my last class and try to relate that a little bit to the I&E courses. So let's jump back to 3 years ago, November 2015. I had just decided to leave Rennes behind, sorry guys, move to Amsterdam to write my master's thesis about this initiative called the Things Network. Their idea was to build a worldwide, decentralized Internet of Things data network that is free and open for anyone to use, and owned and operated by its users through crowdsourcing. We started small, and in January 2016, we could still send the entire team, all 3 of us, to pick up the first award that we won. Now, almost 3 years later, we have grown a lot. Our team is now about 20, and the initiative, the Things Network, has grown to over 50,000 developers, spread over 600 communities in 90 countries. Together, they have organized over 1,000 meetups, and in this year alone, 5 multi-day conferences with hundreds of visitors from all over the world. So how did we do that? And I think the most important lesson actually comes from the very first lecture of how to start a startup. Build something that users love. When users love your product, they will talk about it, tweet about it, organize 1,000 meetups around it, and as we later experienced, sell it to their bosses. To build something that users love, it all starts with talking to them. And that is what we did. We went even one step further, and we decided to build it actually together with them. In today's digital world, that is easier than ever, especially when you target developers like we did. With open source code, open source documentation, and in our case, even an open source conference, we can involve our users in everything that we do. It makes them more than users, it makes them partners. And as you might remember from the I&E courses, partners is a very important part of your business model. Without partners, you're not getting anywhere. You need your ecosystem partners, industry partners. And the best way to get started in your, making your partner network is to get to know the right people. And you guys, you're lucky because you are here with this amazing group of engineers, innovators, entrepreneurs. Look around you, because here, next to you, could be your next co-founder, could be your next colleague, and of course, friends. You are that network of partners. Use it. And congratulations, because today you are joining the network of EIT Digital alumni, and you are joining 5 previous years and making that network bigger. So use it. Have fun today, tonight, and I'd love to hear your story over dinner. Thanks.
Thank you, Hilke. Interesting talk. The last speaker in this series is a candidate that has decided to continue her journey with the EIT Digital by joining a PhD program, the industrial PhD that EIT Digital runs. Please welcome on stage Anna Reale.
Hi all! So, 3 perfect numbers, and I'm here to talk to you of my experience 3 years after my own graduation. And of course I have only 3 minutes, so let's jump into it. Graduations. You are excited, right? You are happy. And this is the end of one of the longest period of your life up to now, which means no more studies, or at least Well, for me, I was very nervous this own day, like you. I was already thinking about the future, and it's like now standing on the stage, jump into the dark, where you see nothing. And the only certainty I had was this. I'm an engineer, I'm a computer science, and what I learned in these 2 years of EIT Digital Master School was I can shape the world, I can do the next generation of the networking. And so it's with this mindset that I joined the EIT Digital Industrial PhD. And like that, I could finally coronate my dream, which is going on with what was I interested in, studying 5G and hot network topics, but also teaching and also keeping in touch with the reality, keeping in touch what is the industry doing right now. So how's my life now? Of course, I teach computer science, I teach I&E to you guys, basically. Hi, I have some of my students. And I also study, but I study the EIT digital way. I study by traveling, by actually meeting the 5G community. I've been to Samos Island, 5G summer school. I've been to the latest World Conference on 5G in London. And I'm constantly collaborating with partners, both in the industry and both in the other university of the EIT Digital Network. Yeah, business. I'm doing business as well, guys. I'm still studying to better my I&E knowledge, and I am constantly working everyday basic with Ericsson, my industrial partner, on a real use case scenario on 5G. Keep tuned. And yeah, have you heard this word already? Networking, networking, networking. That's what I hope I will be doing tonight with not all of you, you are too many, but many of you. And that's what I'm doing in the last 3 years. For example, this is Silicon Valley. Did you know EIT Digital has a hub there? They made me meet all the big players. Hey, I've seen Facebook, I've seen Google, I have seen all of them. Just mention one, I was there. So, yes, I can stand here proudly in the middle of this stage today and say, I kept up with what I promised myself 3 years ago. What about you guys? Good luck.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. Before we go to a well-deserved break, we have one last talk, which is about the EIT Digital Alumni Foundation. And it is my pleasure to invite on stage Mr. Francesco Bonadiman, the president of the foundation.
First time my surname is pronounced correctly, thanks Bartje. Knowing him for 5 years now, so pretty cool. There's the reason why I'm here. I'm Francesco Bonadiman, the president of the Alumni Foundation, and I'm gonna show you a bit what we've done, what we plan to do, and the reason why we are here, actually. I won't say much about the engagement, because I've seen 3 perfect testimonials, and I really thank you. And if this thing is working, first, I would say congratulations, you made it. Like, after 2, 3, some of you also 4 years of struggling, of desperation, of 5 exams, of classes, of also a lot of cool things, you're here. And yeah, these were you 2 years ago. Probably you can spot yourself in. And yeah, okay, some of you were 3, yeah. This was Eindhoven. Yeah, you've been inside this ecosystem for a while, and probably you realize that this ecosystem is unlike any other. Like, how many new things have you learned on a daily basis? How many classes, how many concepts, how many very deep tech solutions you got into? How many inspiring people you met from your classmates, from teachers, from entrepreneurs, from startup founders, and how many experiences you've tried, not only in the summer schools, not only the cool things and the very journeys, whatever, but you've done a lot of things over these years. And now imagine that you can have all these along the rest of your lives. And now is where the alumni community comes in, because we want to keep this vibe going for all the rest of your lives. We have organized over 60 events in 15 plus cities all around Europe, but also in the world. We had a meetup a few weeks ago in Silicon Valley. We have around 15 alumni there. So if you're going there, just be sure to check out who's already in the city. This means talks, this means workshops, this means hackathons, visiting a company. Do you have a nice project that you're working on? Do you have a cool story to tell? Do you have, like, your startup is hiring, just come talk to us, decide to make an event in the city you're living in and involve the alumni community, because most of you might benefit from it. And we do support you in gathering. Do you want to organize an event? You have a great idea. Come talk to us. We can help you mingle with the people. We can put you in touch with the co-location center, with some of the venues. We can also provide you some food for drinks and food that you can benefit during the networking part of the event. On our job portal, you can find hundreds of job opportunities from companies in the ecosystem, but as well from startups and companies from the alumni community. If you have your own startup or you're hiring somebody, please let us know and we will put it up. And as you see, some of our members landed their job of dreams in some of the most renowned company in the world. You can see some examples here, but others decided to launch their startups, and we have over 35 startups coming up from the alumni community. They got 70 million investment, and we are very eager to promote them. So if you have your own initiative, your startup, let us know, and we will push you to the next step. And as well, through the contest that we do, we had a contest where the winner, Wilfried Drone, that just earned $1 million, was sent to Slush, and he will be there in a few weeks. Plus, we care about you, and we want to keep you engaged and at the state of the art for all the rest of your career. So we offer deals of 20% discount to all our members on the professional courses and all the other summer schools in the future. As you see the situation at the now, we are around 1,370 members, like 50 more that just registered. So if you haven't done yet, you should come to our desk later. And the majority of them are alumni from the master school, of course, but the ecosystem is big. We have people from the doctoral school, we have former employees, we have people from the summer school, also friends from the partners of EIT Digital. So we're trying to embrace everyone within our community. And as you can see, this was a really incredible growth. We started with just a bunch of people, and now we are over 1,000. And they are scattered everywhere, all around the 5 continents in the world, even in Sydney, even in New Zealand, even in the center of Africa. We have people from our community. And you can find all of them on our website. Just browse them. We are also improving. We will add new features in the future. And it's not only about the number of members, it's also about the number of activities. We had a big leap in the number of activities of events that we organized in different cities, and also in the initiatives and the way that we represented and presented our community. Finally, people contribute to this because they see the value, because this follows you on your journey to the rest of your life, and because they want to meet again their friends, but also meet new people that can inspire them and upgrade their careers. So I really would like to see many of you at the next annual meeting, which will be in a location that we'll tell you tomorrow if you're around at our meetup here in Eindhoven at the Crown Hotel. If you haven't signed up, just shoot us a message or an email or whatever you prefer. This was the image last year, 100 people that came from all over the world, even from Mexico to Trentino, for 3 days of networking, of learning, of sharing, and stay in touch with this amazing ecosystem. I really thank you, and I wish you a fantastic day.
Thank you, Francesco.